Hi everyone. So the next session is sustainability and environmental impact. And our first presenter is Professor Richard Quilliam, and he is a lecturer in environmental biology at the University of Stirling, and he is here to talk about raising insect larvae on waste organic matter as a sustainable way to feed aquaculture and poultry. And he's specifically going to focus on control and safety measures and the controlling of transfer and survival of human pathogens in that chain. Over to you.
Great, thanks very much. Well, a very good morning, and I'd like to thank Charlotte and the organising committee for this, for the invitation to come here today, and of course the funders. So, this presentation really is about 6 months too early. There's a lot of the results are still being analysed and processed and haven't really come in yet. So it's more of a kind of overview of the type of things we're doing at the University of Stirling. I want to introduce 2 projects to you, and both of them are using insects, or insect larvae particularly, as a feed product for other animals. So this is in a boa market in northern Ghana, and this is their waste disposal process, and we're going to come back to this skip in a moment. So just to give this some kind of context, these projects, and I'm sure you know this particular group. I don't need to spell this kind of thing out, and particularly in this location. But the challenges, or some of the challenges associated with the rapidly urbanising countries, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa, include these 3 topics. So that's the growing demand for food security, so more food production for a growing population in these urban environments. And this is particularly relevant for the people's more increased desire for animal protein. So, of course, increased food production, with that comes increased waste, and particularly the sustainable management of this waste is necessary, particularly the sanitary management of the waste. And sort of as a sort of backdrop to all this, a crucial thing is creating livelihood opportunities for the poor people in these environments, in these rapidly urbanising environments with increased population. There's much more of a need to create livelihood opportunities and employment opportunities for people. So, I'm sure you're all well aware that food security is intricately linked with human development, and particularly sustainable development of communities and ultimately of countries. So, this is a good place to start in a sustainable management of communities. So I first want to talk about the Enterprise project, which is all about commercialising insect transformation of organic wastes to benefit small-scale, resource-poor farmers in Ghana. So this is an Agri-TT project funded by DIVID and led by the University of Stirling. So this is the website, and you can learn a lot more about it than I'm going to say in the next few minutes. On the website, the PhDs do blog pages on there. You can read about all their adventures in Ghana. So this project's really about the black soldier fly, and particularly the black soldier fly larvae, and how we can use that to transform organic wastes into a valuable product. So at its very heart, the Enterprise project is trying to identify waste streams, so streams of organic waste in sub-Saharan Africa's countries, so particularly in Ghana, that black soldier fly larvae can utilise and reproduce on. And the important thing here, and this has come up in one of the questions already, it's really important that we find a waste source that's strategically targeted for the people that can use it. There's no point having a big spatial disconnect between a waste source and the people that could actually be using it. So linked to this is the commercial use of insect larvae, so making it into an employment opportunity for people. And the insect larvae can be used for small-scale aquaculture, as we've heard about already, but also poultry systems. So the larvae can be fed to poultry or fish. And as you'll come to see, that the product that's left after the larvae have left the waste material is the so-called frass biofertilizer. So this is all the fecal waste from the insect larvae, together with whatever feedstock was there to begin with. And this can be given or sold as a commodity to grow food in, particularly by smallholder farmers who are very often women. Okay. So to begin with, we needed to identify what the waste streams were, the significant waste streams in Ghana, in these peri-urban environments. And first and foremost, and it's come up already, is brewery waste. It's a really good substrate for growing black soldier fly in. They really like it, and they grow big and fat. And so we managed to get some samples of brewery waste. As soon as they found out that we were using it in another kind of production system, they weren't very happy about it being given away free, and it suddenly had a big price tag on it. But more importantly, they were very concerned about their IP rights here, and they were convinced that we were trying to isolate and culture their own strains of yeast they were using in the fermentation process. And so the price got even higher. So it was completely commercially unviable as a waste stream to be used for this production system. So there's a lot of poultry farming going on in Ghana. So obviously there's a lot of poultry manure. But the BSF larvae, the black soldier fly larvae, just didn't like growing it at all. They were very, very small, all very different sizes. And we didn't really know why this was, whether the nitrogen content was much too high or whether it was a pH effect. So then there's the market green waste. So this is the kind of waste that comes from a market, so spoiled fruit and vegetables, or the trimmings from fruit and vegetables, the skins, all that kind of thing. And the black soldier fly absolutely loved it. They grew very big. There was a very consistent size and weight growth of these larvae. So it was a very high performance. So with this initial kind of identification of the waste streams, we decided we'd go after the market green waste. So this is a few typical markets in Ghana, in the north of the country and in the south, in the suburbs of Accra. So these are huge, enormous open-air markets, with thousands of stallholders in there. And as you can see, there's plenty of waste, plenty of organic waste. So this can be things like the skins from watermelons, or the outside shells of maize. Things like tomatoes, they don't last very long. They've come from further in the north of the country. They've been bouncing along a road in a crate. So when they get there, these women stallholders straight away have to throw away a large proportion of their stock. So in this market, the eagle-eyed of you will see here, this is a butcher chopping up his meat here and splatting all the produce next to him. So if we're going to use this feedstock for feeding our larvae, we needed to be sure that it wasn't contaminated by anything. And the more you look in the market, the more you realise that it's an African market, obviously. So the facilities, the sanitary facilities, not the sort of thing that you get in the Western world. So things like open drains, lots of wind-blown debris. So when we were there, it was quite windy, so all this kind of dust was blown around and sticking to the outside of all the produce there. So what do they do with this spoilt produce in these markets? And the answer's here. So at the very top, you can see a couple of girls with baskets on their head. And they employ these young girls, usually young teenage girls, to remove their organic waste from their stall. And they take it to this skip here. And this skip gets emptied once a month. And if you talk to the stallholders, they say it takes about half a day to get full. So they just kind of dump all the rubbish around the skip. And the amount of different types of waste there is onions, skins, lots of wasted oranges, and bananas, and all this kind of thing, all just gets dumped around the skip. And at the end of the day, they just set fire to a lot of the plastic, and then the next day they start again. For those of you familiar with Africa, you can see a lot of flying toilets all kind of buried in this produce as well. So we went up to some of these young girls with the baskets and bought their waste, gave them the price for the waste that was in their baskets. and took it back to the lab and analysed it for microbial contamination. So in the north of the country, in Aboa Boa, it was E. coli contaminants and also listeria, which on the outside skins of these fruit and veg. Whereas Medina Market, down in Accra, we're finding quite a lot of salmonella. So we were feeding these green waste to the black soldier fly larvae with these quite high concentrations of microbial contaminants. But one of the amazing things that black soldier fly do is somehow, and we still don't know how, there's a few papers out there that have published similar results, they manage to get rid of these pathogens, whether that's they can't go through the gut of the larvae and they can't survive the transfer through the gut, whatever it is. But by day 8, it completely eliminated any trace of these human pathogens within that feedstock. So this is quite promising to use this as a feedstock. So the larvae that we fed on this green waste, this free green waste that could be commercialised by by the girls who are carrying the waste, or by the stall holders, or whoever has the capacity to go and use this free source to grow larvae. They can then be used, as we've heard before, to feed other animals. So we're undertaking aquaculture trials with tilapia and guinea fowl trials as well, feeding them the larvae. So that's either directly the larvae being fed or ground up and fed as pellets. So unfortunately, this is the results that are kind of coming in at the moment, and I can't really comment on or show you, but just watch this space with these 2 trials going on. So we've got, in Ghana, we've got a big fly house where we do all this kind of work, and so these are the kind of experimental bins we use for the green waste produce. This is what it looks like after a couple of days of the black soldier fly in there. And then they start to egress, so they want to go and pupate, so they need to get out of the wet mass, and they go and try and find somewhere dry. So we have these on a slope, and they kind of walk away from the wet mass, and then they fall over the edge, and then we can collect them. So what we're doing at the moment